Hello, this is Michelle. Welcome to my channel. I am here today with a process video for my Creative Scrapbook, the limited edition kit. And so this is my fourth layout, and so I am really pleasantly surprised at how much product I have left. Oh my gosh. So I'm using this blue floral paper, and I um, wanted the florals in the center. And after I cut it and all that, I go back and forth. Was that the right thing to do? But I did it. So it's done. We're moving forward. And so I'm going to have my main design just going right down the center. And I'm going to use a film strip. I just used a cut file to cut that out. I just used white paper for now as I'm not sure what I'm going to use from the pattern paper for that film strip. And then my fourth picture, I'm going to use this frame to highlight and use as my mat. And so I had a fifth picture, but I decided to hold off on that one and to use it on another layout. And so, yeah, so I have my I use double stick tape to lift it up a little bit, and going to have that towards the right and then the film strip to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and distress the exterior of my page, and then I am just going to use chipped sapphire. I don't think I do that on camera, but I use chipped sapphire along the edges there. So I have this UPC strip from another paper that I'm going to use down the center. And once I get that all inked up, and I think I use chipped sapphire for just about everything for consistency. And so I'm going to adhere that. And then at some point, I take it to my sewing machine and I sew down both edges of that. So I kind of have an idea of where my pictures are going to go. So I'm going to do some stamping and some texture paste around those areas. So I just use a little mesh looking stamp with black stays on type of ink. And then I have this stencil, and I wanted something that was didn't have a lot of pattern to it. So I just want to add a little bit of white in some of these areas. And so I'm using a stencil from my stash. So I'm going to lay it down with modeling paste, and then I'm going to sprinkle it with uh, embossing powder, just a white one, because I really just want to stick with white, but I do want to use a little bit of ink around it, and so I wanted it to keep pure white and not pick up any color from the ink I'm going to be using. So I'm just using, I believe this is Lost Shadow. I'm going to use some Stormy Skies and some Chip Sapphire just in these areas, just to give them a little bit of haziness and add a little depth, because the background paper is beautiful, but it is dark. And so I just wanted to lighten it up and give a few areas of interest. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some white splatters. Now, some of them feel a little intense for me, so I am going to blot them up a little bit. Oh, I guess I'm going to dry first, but I am going to, there you go, with my paper towel roll, pick up just a little bit of it. There we go. It's feeling dry enough to proceed. And so I'm going to start looking at my clusters. I do add that those pilings I got from the back of one of the other papers. that I used on a previous layout. So I am going to use that, and I'm going to add foam tape to my film strip because I have cut out a top layer out of one of the other patterned papers that kind of had a sky type of feel to it. And so I'm going to adhere that on top, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink it up with Distress with the chip sapphire. So I decided I'm done inking and any mixed media, so I get rid of my glass mat. And I have also cut out a reel there. So I'm going to use that as well. That was one of the other pattern papers, that lovely little plaid. And I am going to use that red card behind my film strip. And this was a fun layout. I really tried to embrace the red, white, and blue. On some of my other layouts, I kind of did more monochromatic or just used two out of the four colors that are in the kit. This one, I just didn't use green, so I used red, white, and blue. It was very fun color scheme, obviously, to use. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these two pieces together so I can move them around easily. I have my pilings there and my other picture, and that is pretty much the base of the layout. But I'm going to add a lot more to it because, again, there's just so many embellishments. It was uh, hard to make choices because there's just I had so much left, and so you really get your bang for your buck out of these kits. So one of the reasons I split that paper is because I wanted the florals to be peeking out of my clusters. And so you'll see on the bottom right, I've added quite a bit of what I plan on using. I added a little swing. I've added a card that I just tore from one of the 3x5s, I believe. Either that or it was in the ephemera pack. So I've added some stripe pieces, and now I'm going to add some flowers um, to that. And yeah, I'm moving right along. So I had previously used glossy accents on my little binder clip. And I also used glossy accents. You'll see I'll add a Just Beachy and collect memory phrase. And so I use glossy accents on those as well. And I just looking for home for embellishment. So I have this binocular, so I am going to use those. There is that Just Beachy phrase, and I really like how that embellishment cluster turned out. I think it's very cute. I have the button there. I am going to add some of these half circle phrases. So I have This is Summer at the very top, and then Summer is my fave there by the butterfly. And I want to take a look at my title. So I have the beachy word left. I am trying to figure out like if I was thinking about cutting out some letters out of some of the pattern paper, but I think I'm going to go with one of these cards instead. Okay, so um, thirsty, talking. So I really, like I said, love how that little cluster came out there at the bottom. I totally cover up that flower. You can just see a bit of red peeking out. And so on my upper right cluster, I really work at leaving more of it showing. So I'm a little more successful up there. But I've added that red heart, and I think a lot of that bottom section is done. So I'm taking a look at the film strip and I decide to add a couple of word phrases to break up the picture. So I have that Joyce in the journey. And then I add another one here shortly under the ferry that says never sure enough. And yeah, so now I'm playing there on the right. Now, these pictures are from we live in Pacific Northwest, just like a half hour from the ferries that go out to the San Juan Islands. And so my daughter was home from Colorado for a few days, and we decided to take a ferry out to Friday Harbor and rent bikes and ride around the island. So that's what these pictures are from. There's the one of the ferry, and then the other three are all of Roach Harbor. And yeah, it was a really, really good time. And so I think I'm adding that never sure enough. And I've added a lot of my florals and embellishments there to the right. I still am going to add just a little bit more because it feels between that red flower and between the cream flower that is in the paper feels a little gappy to me. So I'm looking at different things I can use to maybe create a little base and add just a few embellishments up in that section. So I decided to use this blue card and I am going to add one of the binder clips above it and I want to add in some butterflies. You'll see me play with those in a little bit. I've used some ink to darken up that beachy so it's a little bit more blue. And there is my second glossy accent tag, collect memories, up there at the top right. And yeah, like I said, lots of embellishments on this one because there's just so much. So I wanted to add, I have used a lot of the flowers at this point, but I still have some of the stems with some of the smaller flowers. So I use a couple up there to kind of carry that floral between the red and ivory flower to the one that is in the paper. And I kind of look at trying to add some flowers down there to the left, but I decide not to. It feels like it doesn't really need it. And I'm going to go ahead and try to adhere them with my Tim Holtz, I think is what I use. What is it? Oh, yeah, collage medium for that. So I think I have a lot of the layout done. So I am looking at what I want to say down there at the bottom. So it has backyard, it had summer, playground, a few different tags. I decided to go with the backyard because the San Juan Islands are kind of in our backyard, and my husband actually works on the ferry system, so it felt appropriate. So I'm going to do Beachy Backyard as my title. Not going to worry too much about journaling on this because it'll have another page with it where I can add my journaling. So now I'm going to look at the butterflies. I've added that blue one. I have the red one up at the top. And I'm going to, I think, move that white one that I have up there. And just making sure things are adhered. And yeah, I think what am I doing now? So many little details. Oh, the little buttons. And so I did tie some scrap floss into the centers of my buttons. And I'm trying to figure out where the best place for those should be, but I think I've got that figured out. And then I have that tag under my sailboat that says best place ever. So I am going to add a stamp there above my little word phrase just to give it a little bit of color. And I think I'm going to add camera as well. Right there's the camera right next to uh, that red flower. And now I'm going to play with my butterflies a little bit. So I move the white one, and then I am also going to put some pearls down the centers of my butterflies, just so they have a little bit of color as well. And then I am going to go ahead and I think I add a few more splatters because it feels like I've covered a lot of my splattered areas after I make sure everything is glued down. So I'm going to do that. And then I am also going to take some gesso and just lighten up my flowers a little bit with some whiteness. So that's about it. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe or like and check out my Creative Scrapbook. Check out their link, it's in the notes. If you want to see more of their kits, they're so beautiful, you won't regret it. Thanks, everyone.